Hello and welcome to episode 26 of the Real Game Media podcast. We're excited to be back with you this week. There has been a lot going on in the industry the last couple of weeks, so we have a lot to cover. But before we get into that, let's introduce today's panel, starting with my co-director, Julius Malco.
Hey everyone, thanks for joining.
And Sam Talbot.
Hey everybody, like Bella said, there's lots of good gaming news to talk about. Been a busy couple of weeks in the industry. Let's get right to it.
Excellent. So we'll do the usual because I know everybody likes to hear what we've been playing and what platforms we've been playing on to give them a bit of a gauge of where we're sitting in our gaming experiences and passions over the last couple of weeks. So Julius, I'm going to throw myself on the sword again and go to you first and hope you've been playing a game this week.
I have been playing 2 games this week.
Wow.
Yeah, Titanfall 2 and Call of Duty Black Ops 3 Zombies.
Wow, nice. And how are you finding both of those?
Titanfall 2, just going through the campaign is it's one of those things that's missing from the first one, and I'm glad that they did introduce it into the second one. And in a nutshell, it's better than Halo 5 in my opinion.
Wow.
That's
comes
huge.
from the Halo himself.
I know, that's right?
Yeah, like Titanfall 2's campaign was insanely good. I'd argue it's probably the best first-person shooter campaign we've gotten in the last few years. That would be my argument, honestly.
The first, I mean, if they all their marketing was based off of your relationship with the Titan, right? And it's like from the first mission, you've got that connection, and it doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. BT is incredibly well developed. The pilot, what's his name? He was incredibly well developed. Jack Cooper. That was his name. He's incredibly well done. Like, if I have a complaint, it would probably be maybe that's a little too short. But even then, I'd rather it would be short and sweet than it be a dragged out experience.
Right?
The case of knowing your limits in terms of development.
Yeah, like it's not too short. Where you're like, oh man, I wish the storyline would have continued, but yeah, it's a good length. It's good.
Have you finished it yet?
No, I'm about halfway through right now.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Yes, no spoilers.
Hashtag no spoilers. So what have you been playing, Sam?
Okay, so like him, and I noticed he declined to talk about this but I have also been playing Black Ops 2 Zombies quite a bit, and getting a little better, getting back into my groove, considering how long it's been. I'm remembering things over and over again, and when I don't, you guys certainly remind me. And then, let's see, I've been playing a couple of other games. I've continued to be slogging through some of the side quests in Mass Effect Andromeda, because I had been playing the main story for a while, and then the side quests just kept building, and I was like, you know what? I need to address this before it gets any worse, so I've just been taking some time to dig through all those, just get the experience from the messenger boy fetch quest type stuff. Yeah. And then the other thing I've been mainly playing is I've been playing Voodoo Vince Remastered, because it was $15 and it was play anywhere, so I was like, you know what? I never played it. Why not?
I never played it either.
Let's get one thing straight. It comes from a very early 2000s early platformer era, and the cheesy writing and all. I mean, it's the writing quality is hard. There's no other real way of putting it. It's just bad. But the gameplay actually holds up really, really, really well. That it actually took me by surprise. Did any of you ever play some of the older Spyro games, like Spyro: A Hero's Tale?
Yeah.
Okay, it's almost exactly like that. That's probably It's like a near one for one. And it's actually a lot of fun. It's held up pretty well. So it's like, you know what? If you've got a few extra bucks and you just want a bit of a nostalgia rush, sure, it's a great game. And then, it hasn't. Well, I won't say. I'm looking forward to a couple of other games that are coming out, but we'll talk about those later, I'm sure. So that's it for now.
Indeed. Nice. So on my PlayStation, I've been playing Persona 5, which is it's really good. it is different. It doesn't cater to the Western world, which is what makes it so unique and special, I think. And it is visually fantastic and a lot of reading involved. But if you can get past that, it's a lot of fun. It's a really good game and so in depth. There is so much to it. On my Xbox, though, I haven't. In this fortnight, I have touched Andromeda, but not very much. The main game that I have been playing is, again, as the same as you two guys, Call of Duty Black Ops. Black Ops 2, I've been doing a bit of the multiplayer. Been doing a lot of the zombies. And I also finished yesterday playing Outlast 2, but I can't talk about that.
Can you tell us
just turn into a zombie?
Can you tell us whether you liked it or not? Can you go with that?
Absolutely. I can tell you everything. No, I cannot tell you nothing. You will have to wait until the 25th or the 24th in America, as it would be, for my review to go up on the website. And then you can go read all about it. Yeah,
looking
that's
forward
how
to
that's
it.
going to work.
That's the game I'm looking forward to coming out for sure.
Yeah. So let's just get into the first segment of the podcast, shall we? The recent and upcoming game releases. So a announcement from Call of Duty that they're going to do a full reveal on April 26th. World War II. Why did it take? Just hear me out. Why did it take this many years of crappy space exosuit jetpacked? Why? Why did we have to go through so many years of that? For them to go, oh, hang on. When you said World War II, you meant World War II. Right. Okay. Awesome. Let's do that. You let me get on a rant about this, and we're going to be here for an hour. You guys, tell me what you think.
Okay, so, I mean, I look at Call of Duty a bit differently. Like, Black Ops 2, ironically, was actually the last one in the series I played. After that, Call of Duty just kind of fell off for me, and I moved on to other stuff. See, here's the thing. World War II. It sounds really nice. Going back to, boots on the ground, the beaches of Normandy, and then, the entrenched campaign against the Germans on the eastern and western fronts, and, Dunkirk. But here's the problem. And this may be very unpopular with some people, but I think it's too safe. Sure, they're going for the nostalgia and all that of, all the Call of Duty games that dealt with World War II, but why not move on to a new setting? Just because it's boots on the ground, just because you're moving the gameplay back to the classic, what it was supposed to be, doesn't mean you have to retread a setting that's already been done to death. There are plenty of other grand wars out there that could have easily been covered and given, just the same, if not a better, what's the word I'm looking for? A better in-depth view of the kind of gameplay that Classic COD offered. That I don't know. That's my opinion on it. I just think it's too safe. It screams of not being secure and not sure what you're trying to do.
Okay. I hear you. Mr. Malco?
Well,
Mr. What are your thoughts on this?
Here's the thing. EA answered the call of duty. And sorry, I had
You just do that. You just did that. Thanks, Dad. Okay, moving along.
So they came out with Battlefield 1, and it's boots on the ground combat, and everyone went crazy over it, right? So to me, looking at this and how, Infinite Warfare plays, and it's not exactly what gamers have been asking for. I just think that it just looks like they're copying now, right? Now, like, oh, okay, well, EA's brought this World War II game out and World War boots on the ground combat out, and it's like, you know what? Maybe we can do it now. I don't think. I mean, there's always going to be a Call of Duty fan out there, so you'll have your Call of Duty and your Battlefield fans out there. Yes. When I played the
What
Juno
I'm hearing
map.
from you right now, Julius, is you're just like, it's Call of Duty and I don't really get this.
Well, exactly. But I mean, the single player, don't get me wrong. I grew up on all the Call of Duty, the World at War, Call of Duty 1, 2, and 3. I went through all of them. But the one map that really stood out to me was the Juno Beach map, right? If they can get that right and have it even more visceral and more heart pumping like it was back in the day, I might give it a shot. I don't know if I go for the multiplayer aspect of it, but for first player, yeah, I might give it a shot.
Okay, fair enough. I think too little, too late. We've been asking for the Call of Duty franchise to go back to this kind of focus for a very, very long time now. One of the main complaints that you will get from anybody who is the long-term fan and veteran of the franchise is that progressively it has been moving further and further away from what actually made the franchise great. There does need to be an evolution of the franchise. I do appreciate that. I do understand that times are changing and that the temperature in the industry is a little bit different as well. So therefore, they're doing all these target testing and asking all these groups of people, what would you like out of this? Would you like jetpacks? Would you be interested in an exosuit? So they're doing all these studies, getting all of these results, and they're bringing them back together and going, okay, well, look, it seems that this is what they want, so let's give them what they want. Unfortunately, though, that isn't what we want. We don't want jetpacks. We don't want to be playing Call of Halo. We don't want to be taking our Titan into battle with us, because if we wanted to do that, we would be playing Halo or we would be playing Titanfall. We wouldn't be playing Call of Duty. We don't want huge, big, expansive maps. We've got Battlefield for that. Call of Duty is great when it does it well because of the formula that it uses, and if it sticks to that, it will never fail. Unfortunately, though, they just keep chucking too many things into the mix, and instead of ending up with a cake, they get like a flat pancake or something. It's not good. So I think it's great that they are actually looking to move back to what we've been asking for, but I believe they've already lost a lot of long-term veterans from the franchise from the last 2 or 3 installments in the franchise. So maybe if they do this well, and there is enough good feedback from the game's launch, they may entice some people to come back and have a look at it again and think, oh, well, it looks like it is getting back to the Call of Duty I used to love. Maybe I will revisit the franchise. But for me, it's a little bit too late. I'm just well disappointed in the direction of the franchise lately. And also this, the aliens inclusion instead of zombies, I'm not keen to see more of that. Just give me zombies or don't put anything in, Anyway, that's my opinion. So that's what we think about Call of Duty World War II. So we did briefly touch on this before, and this is something that you two can definitely delve into. The Outlast 2 trailer has launched. Very eerie. Very scary. What are your thoughts? Who's looking forward to Outlast 2? What are you looking forward to from it? Did you play the last one?
Okay, so can I take this one first, Jules?
Go right ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so Outlast 2, I'm looking forward to it. I'm a fan of the first one. I do have solid complaints about the first one. Like I think the first one sort of took the world by storm. It released 2013 or 2014. I believe it was late 2013. It took the world by storm due to the level of horror and some of the psychiatric stuff it got into at Mount Massive, which was the insane asylum it was set at, and as the plot developed, and then the whole notion that you can't fight against whatever there is, you just have to run away and hide, sort of inducing a primal fear. And it's obviously seen because it's been copied by a lot of other things out there, and the influence has been felt even in more traditionally actionized games. So that being said, what little I've seen of Outlast 2, I'm much more interested in the cultish setting. The whole, this is a group of people who disturbingly believe they're doing the absolute right thing and they're sheltered away from society. To me, that has much more potential, and it's far more interesting and far more horrific a setting than crazy people. I don't know. That's just me. So I'm extremely looking forward to it. I really hope it does not disappoint. I have high hopes for it.
Nice. All right. Jules, your thoughts?
Well, like Sam mentioned, the whole asylum setting doesn't really agree with me after watching a season of American Horror Story. so I saw the game and I'm like, no, you know what? No, I'm not ready for this yet. But Outlast 2 looks even worse. Like I'm like, okay, maybe I will just play Outlast 1 because the whole oh my god, no, yeah, it just go my whole body's like hashtag nope. Go to my happy place. Go to my happy place.
Well, I mean, I can't say anything about Outlast 2, but I can say that, the Outlast 1, when I was playing it, like that game, it actually stood above many other games that I've played in the horror franchise, or horror genre before. And it stood out for the reason that it, instead of just relying on, jump scares, it actually, like, it puts the fear of God into your gut. Every time you're moving, like no matter where you're going, you're like, oh my God. And unfortunately for anybody who happened to be in a party with me when I was playing Outlast 1, they're probably still clinically deaf. So if and I'm speaking objectively as somebody who potentially hasn't played Outlast 2, if Outlast 2 lives up to that expectation from Outlast 1, make sure that you come along with a couple of pairs of diapers because
Wow. A double bag.
Let me ask you, but we can talk about the demo, right? The demo came out for Outlast 2. We can talk about that stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so most definitely. The demo was out.
If the demo came out, like, or something like, mid last year. You haven't played that. That's not a spoiler. Yeah, it was a while ago. So the demo showcased some pretty gnarly stuff like that. And that was just in a 30-minute slice of like when you arrive from the helicopter going down. And then I don't know the name of the protagonist. I don't think it was in the demo. But then you find like the filled ditch. I was like, no way. You've got to be kidding me here. This is ridiculous. And then the whole cornfield with the glowing eyes in the dark, all looking at you. It's like, ugh.
Yeah, see, Children of the Corn is another movie I freaking hate. So,
maybe just steer clear of it then. I mean, it sounds like you probably maybe just like go sit down with a notebook and a glass of Chardonnay or something.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I don't want to accidentally say stuff that I shouldn't, so we're going to move straight along to the next thing. The Surge combat trailer showcases the exosuit combat. Exosuit combat is something I just complained about, but it's not in Call of Duty. So I know you're both really excited for the Surge, so have at it.
I am. Like, this is a cool IP. It's from what I've seen from the CGI trailer, I was like, you know what? If the gameplay is actually this fluid and this quick, then yeah, I will definitely pick it up. And when they came out with the combat trailer, I was like, whoa, hold on. This guy is like, he's sliding under people. He's like blocking, he's dodging, there's executions. I'm like, this is cool. I haven't seen this in a while.
Yeah.
The only thing I can have, did you ever play the original Unreal Tournament on the original Xbox One? It was done by Midway, and they had melee weapons on top of regular weapons.
Okay.
I think I did, but it was a while ago. That was a while ago.
So you can go in, you can like pot shot and you can snipe, but if you got really close to somebody and you hit, I forget what the button combination was, but you could do an execution, and it was like a quick time event, and you would have to hit the certain combos on the screen, and then you would like you would pull out like knives or swords or whatever, and you'd stab the person, and it was brutal because the other person had to like watch it, right? So it's pretty cool, to have that kind of gameplay back into an action game.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they have done it in such a way it kind of looks a bit fresh. You know what I mean? Like it is a little bit of everything that we already know, but it looks fresh.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just hope the campaign length and the storyline actually fit the action.
Did you guys play Lords of the Fallen by any chance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, so, it was actually on Xbox Live about 4 or 5 months ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, Lords of the Fallen was a good game. I thought it was a good game, but it definitely did have problems, especially because of the inevitable comparisons to Dark Souls. And I mean, Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, it was like Dark Souls for dummies, right?
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. It wasn't that it was bad, but it was Dark Souls light. And I think what happened there is I legitimately believe Deck 13 Interactive have learned from their mistakes. At least I hope so. In Lords of the Fallen, said, okay, the dark fantasy genre, with From Software, they've got that locked down. We're not breaking in there. Let's do our own thing. Let's develop our own niche. Let's develop this idea of tough gameplay that makes you want to tear your hair out and like, all right, after the 10th time, what am I doing wrong with this boss? Why can't I get past this enemy? Oh, that's why you got to do that. Okay, all right, cool. I think they're taking that and applying it to science fiction. I'm all on board. Absolutely. And then combining what, Jules said earlier about the incredibly brutal combat, just the absolute savagery and how fluid all the animations were. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm interested for sure.
Yeah.
Is there any word if there's any multiplayer combat on it? Because that would be kind of cool if there was.
So I believe that the official answer is yes, but we know nothing about it. Like there will be multiplayer, but other than that, we don't know how it's actually going to work or like anything. I presume it's some sort of Dark Souls type invasions. Like I'm not sure how it would work otherwise, but who knows?
Well, if they limit me to just 2 other people, I'm gonna crack my biscuit. Like, yes, it's multiplayer, but you can have 2 people out of the 6 that you normally play with, or the 4 that you would normally team up with. You can have 2.
Well, you have to choose who you hate. Who are you going to offend? That's basically what it is.
Captain Conan.
Indeed. So moving right along to the next one, and probably one of my favorite things that's come out in the last couple of weeks. Star Wars Battlefront 2 trailer reveal, release date and early access details. Oh, it looks so good. I'm so excited. And I hate that I'm so excited because I'm worried about being excited because of what they did to me with Battlefront 1.
I think they learned their lesson, though. I think they learned their lesson.
I think so.
I really hope they did, because playing as the dark side is going to be awesome. And she looks like she's badass. Like,
can we talk about that?
Like, hope cannot save you. I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah, exactly. And can we talk about how they didn't go for the low-hanging fruit of a rebel campaign? We play as rebels. We're going to blow up some Imperial stuff. We save the day. Like, no.
You may talk about that.
We're playing, as the dark side, like in the fallout of the destruction of the Death Star. Yeah, that is incredibly awesome. I think it's a very gutsy move, for sure. And then when you combine the fact that they're bringing back, the Clone Wars, which at least for me, that was like my favorite memories of the original Battlefront 2.
Except for
the first one, Battlefront 2-1, not Battlefront 2-2 is how I'm going to have to refer to them from here on out to keep everything straight. And then, but they're also adding in the era from the new films like The Force Awakens and Rey and Kylo Ren. Yeah. All right. I think they've learned their lesson.
Yeah.
Indeed. I'm like, the thing for me, I know that they kind of corrected a little bit of the wrongs with Battlefront 1 by eventually adding DLC in that allows you to fly around in outer space. But I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and this may be an unrealistic expectation, but heading into Battlefront, I kind of expected, being a Star Wars game, that I would probably be able to jump in my X-Wing and fly around in outer space. I mean, I guess that was an unrealistic expectation, but so
no.
Yeah, they did fix that. Yeah, they did implement some stuff down the track. Yes, the DLC was pretty cool, particularly the VR stuff and being able to fly around in VR. Oh my God, that's insane. So Yeah, okay, things were corrected, things were changed, things were implemented. That's great and everything, but it should have been there from the word go. So I want to see them do that with Battlefront 2. I don't want to see this thing where we go into it with this set of expectations that are actually quite realistic expectations. Star Wars, flying in outer space, realistic expectation.
Yep.
So, yeah, I just don't want to see them segment all these different really cool parts of the game and go, right, well, here's the vanilla version of the game, and the really cool shit, well, you got to buy a season pass, which we already know they're going to attack the DLC differently, which is great. So let's hope they don't keep all that fun stuff for DLC. Let's hope a lot of that fun stuff is there up front and center day one.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think they kind of learned from Titanfall 2 that hey, you don't need season passes.
Yeah, exactly. And then for people who are worried about DICE is not actually doing the single player campaign. That is Motive Studio. And it's actually 3 studios who are working on the game, because Criterion, who are the developers of Need for Speed, are actually doing the vehicle implementation, which I think is pretty clever.
That is cool.
Excellent. So in interest of avoiding the danger, which could be the next 3 to maybe 4 hours of us all sitting here like geeking out over Star Wars. Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy, Episode 1, trailer released. Who's getting it? Who's excited? Who's seen it? What are your thoughts?
Love the movie. Definitely going to get the game.
Are you turned off a little bit by the fact that it's a Telltale game, or are you more intrigued by the fact that it's a Telltale game?
I'm more intrigued. All of Telltale's games have been like spot on, amazing. The Wolf Among Us.
They really do a bloody good job.
Walking Dead, awesome.
What about you, Sam?
I'm a little more reserved. I love me some Wolf Among Us. That was absolutely phenomenal. I think it's their best work. Telltale does a great job at what they do. I mean, they made a name for themselves with season 1 of The Walking Dead. They've done a great job with practically every IP they've handled. So my problem isn't that Telltale is doing this game. Like, that's cool. Telltale game, whatever. That's awesome. My issue is they are still using the exact same engine. Okay, it's 2017. Let's be honest. Telltale they don't make the best looking games in terms of, the art style or the resolution. There is no reason there should be glitches and frame rate hitches and stuttering and load problems and very long load times in any of their games. And yet they still do. And after all their success and all the revenue they've had, I find it very difficult to believe they haven't had time to upgrade their engine. That's my bone to pick with them. It's like, come on, guys, it's been years. It's getting a little old. You definitely have the resources.
No, I can understand. That's fair enough gripe. That is a fair enough gripe. Okay, fair enough. So are there any other games that are coming up, or any other games that have released recently that you've played or that you're interested and intrigued in that you want to talk about before we move on?
Well, let's see here. 13 days from now, May 5th, there's this little game called Prey, and it's going to be a Game of the Year contender. So, but you're probably going to try and stop
Game of the Year contender?
Yes, I do.
Fanboying out on me a little bit right now?
No, I'm not. I am not. It's Arcane Studios. They have done a phenomenal job, and Bethesda has not made a bad game this gen. They have not made a good game this gen. They have made nothing but great games, bottom line, and just going up from there. I have faith. I think they're going to deliver.
Yeah, well, I mean, based on their track record, it's a safe assumption the game's going to be good. There's absolutely no denying that. So, fair enough. Okay. Prey, he's excited. Everybody, he's excited. So, E3 news and chatter. This week, we have had the ESA annual report come out. Now, ESA is the company that actually owns and runs E3. They've launched their report, and there's been some really interesting statistics that have come out of that. One of them being, and particularly this one is the one that stood out most in my mind, is because we have been sort of back and forth lately about, how much is the digital market influencing sales, and how many of these sales overall are a part of that influence. And it turns out that across America, there is the rate of digital sales now over the space of 2016 is at 74%. So 74% of games, DLC, any type of content, soundtracks, all of that sort of stuff, is actually 74% of purchases. So now when we have a look at those figures for the physical sales, that really puts things into perspective.
Absolutely. Like digital is taking over, and it's only going to continue to grow. Now, I do think it's worth pointing out, this is the only thing I'm going to say, that like small, like cash cow games on handheld devices, like in microtransaction games, those are counted in those numbers. And I imagine that's boosting it. I imagine that's giving it a nice, big percentage boost. But the point should not be lost that digital is taking over. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. It's just a huge number. And that's up, I think it's like 5%. It's up from last year, if I remember correctly. And that then gives it, from 2010 to 2016, an increase of 43% over those 5 years or 6 years. 43% in 6 years.
Yeah, I know.
It's huge. It shows the shift towards digital is a real thing. Sorry, Julius, you go.
Yeah, no. A lot of my friends at the start of the Xbox One and PS4 launches were like, well, I know digital's a thing, but I want something tangible. I'm like, well, I'm going digital. I said the only reason why I would ever go physical this time around is if there was something attached to it, like
a really cool statue.
Exactly, right? And people are like, oh, well, I can resell my stuff. I'm like, well, I tend to collect my games anyways. Like, I have a library of Xbox One games or Xbox 360 games, original Xbox games, and even some of my Nintendo cartridges. I still have them. So it's not like I plan on reselling them. There have been times in the past where I've taken sports games back because, once you go through one season, you try to get as much money as you can back in a trade-in. But, both Xbox and PlayStation have positives when it comes to digital copies because you can share them, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is true.
And that's great because, like, if I buy a digital copy that has Play Anywhere, then I can play on my PC as well as on my Xbox. And you don't get
absolutely.
that. You don't get that with physical copies. So
yeah,
and the incentives are there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it will drive you towards that sort of purchase. One of the things that I find very funny, and as gamers, we can all relate to this for a very long time, as our careers as gamers, we have found that socially it tended to be not quite the most acceptable of pastimes or hobbies or interests. A lot of people would actually look at you a little bit sideways when you say, "Oh, I don't go home and read. I go home and I play my Xbox or whatever." The irony of that is that at the moment in and across America, 67% of US households own a device that is used to play video games.
Ha, we win.
7%. That is well above half. Like, that isn't,
that's the majority. We win.
7%. Yeah. And at least 65% of US households are home to one person that plays at least 3 or 4 hours per week on video games. So it just goes to show, like, it is a big thing. Like, this is video games industry has become bigger than Hollywood in that regard. Like, you're more likely going to find a gamer than you are somebody who just sits down and watches TV. Are they most likely to admit that that's what they do? Maybe not, because there is still that stigma attached to it in society. But the statistics are there, particularly for America. It is a thing. More of you are playing video games than are not. So stop saying you're not. Just embrace the goodness. Embrace the goodness. And the other amazing thing that came out of that is the average age of a gamer. So apparently that's shifted again, and the average age of a gamer is now 35 years old.
Wow. That's incredible.
It is an interesting statistic. I say interesting statistic because the majority of the people that I actually game with tend to be between about the 20 to 30 age bracket. But that's just pardon me, that's just my group of gamers that I play with. So to know that there's, you know, a bit more evenness across the board, and obviously there are a lot of gamers that have been playing for a long time now, back from the days of the Dreamcast and the SNES, that have just continued to play, that love video games. I mean, what age did you guys start playing at?
Sorry,
Go ahead.
Sorry, what was that? You kind of talked over the top of each other.
My first introduction to video games was when I was 7 years old.
Right, okay.
What was it? If you don't mind me asking, what was the game?
It was a VIC-20 actually.
Oh wow!
And we had to program it.
Wow.
On a cassette tape, and then it took like an hour for us to copy down the code and then run it. It was awesome.
Awesome.
Right.
Hardcore.
It was a Space Invaders clone, and then from there it just snowballed. It was VIC-20, Commodore 64, Atari 2600, you know, just ColecoVision and television, all the way up.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's what we have to thank for the geek you've become today.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just really interesting to see that, you know, Entertainment Software Association, so as I was saying before, they are the company that sort of that do E3, have been able to pull together all of these statistics and the things that people just don't really take a lot of notice of every year. But you've got to understand that this is a company that is in the know, that isn't restricted by having to sway their statistics to make one thing look better than the other. They just report it how it is. So yeah, there's been a lot of really interesting stuff that's come out of that. And one statistic that I did a double take on, because I just couldn't believe my eyes, is the top 20 units, well, the top 20 best-selling video games per unit had also been released as well. And sitting on the very top of that list is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. How is that a thing? How is there that many people out there buying Infinite Warfare? What's wrong with all of you?
Here's the thing.
Bundles?
Go ahead, dude.
Console bundles? I don't know.
So here's the thing. Like, correct me if I'm wrong, Bella. I don't think console bundles were counted for this statistic. It was games purchased separately, right? Because it's a little tricky sometimes.
Yeah.
So okay, it's per unit. All right. So we need to keep in mind. Here's the thing, though. Yeah, Infinite Warfare, as we all know, sold worse than any other Call of Duty in recent memory. Like that, so much so that Activision noted in their conference call a couple of months back. The thing is, though, Call of Duty selling under previous Call of Duty is still selling well above most games. Call of Duty is, whether it deserves to be or not the discussion, it is a juggernaut beyond a juggernaut. It still has that strength behind it. And that's just the way it is. Even if it's losing steam, even if it's slowing, even if it's not recovering from losing some of its hardcore audience, it's still got that power. You know, it's like it punches well above anything else. I think the only games that even come close were things, what was the, like, 2 and 3 and 4? Like, I don't even remember,
So Battlefield 1 was in the second position. Grand Theft Auto 5, that's been out for a handful of years, in position number 3.
That in 2020, that game is going to be in the top 5. It's never going to stop.
Probably.
They're not even gonna, yeah, they don't need to make another Grand Theft Auto. It's just
why would we make Grand Theft Auto 6 when we're still like the third most bought game in the world every year? Like, why would we even bother? Like,
how is that possible? People, you've been buying it for God knows how long. Does not everyone own like 3 copies at this point?
Here's my theory.
It's actually at a point, there was a statistic released somewhere, and I cannot remember where I saw it, so you can't quote me on it, but I'm just pulling up a memory that I have here where I read that there is, with the amount of units that have been sold in America alone, that equates to 1 in every 3rd person in America owns a copy of GTA 5.
Jeez Louise.
Here's the theory, though. GTA 5, and you've got your 13-year-old kid who's like, "Mom, I want this," and they get to the counter, and it's like, "No, you can't play it. You're too young," right? Do you think that some of these kids that got told no, you can't play this, are now buying it now because they're now of age.
Oh, of course. Every year there's a new injection of people that have just had birthdays in the past 12 months. You know,
it's like
Yeah, I mean,
everyone's like, oh my god, GTA 5. I'm now old enough to play it.
yeah, but GTA 5, I'm checking like the official numbers now. GTA 5 is the 4th best-selling game of all time. The top 3
Yeah.
are Tetris is first place, then Minecraft is second place, Wii Sports is third, then GTA 5. 75
Wii Sports
million
is third.
Wii Sports is third.
Of the third most sold video game ever, Wii Sports. And people said that stuff didn't sell.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is nuts. That is insane.
Hit them with the facts.
My goodness. So to recap just the rest of that list real quick so everybody knows what did fall into that category. So first place, obviously, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. Second place, Battlefield. Third place, Grand Theft Auto 5. Fourth, Madden. Fifth, NFL 2K17. 6, this will make Julius happy, The Division.
Woohoo!
7, Overwatch. 8, Minecraft. 9, Call of Duty Black Ops 3. 10, FIFA 17. 11, Pokemon Sun. 12, Pokemon Moon. 13, The Elder Scrolls, The Elder Scrolls v Skyrim. 14, Star Wars Battlefront. 15, Final Fantasy 15. Woohoo! 16, Titanfall 2. 17, NBA 2K16. 18, Tom Clancy's Rainbow Six Siege. 19, Far Cry Primal. Found that a bit of a surprise, a bit of a
Far Cry Primal?
Far Cry
Really?
Primal.
Far Cry Primal.
Wow.
And 20th on the list, which I would have thought this would have been well up further, is Dark Souls 3.
No, Dark Souls 3 actually doesn't surprise me. Like, the thing is, we got to keep in mind, there's a bit of an echo chamber in terms of hardcore gamers versus casual gamers. And it was only really Dark Souls 2 that really started to get some mainstream attention. So it actually doesn't surprise me that even though Dark Souls 3 sold well, I think it sold over 6 million copies across Steam, Xbox, and PS4. That actually doesn't surprise me, it being last place there. But Far Cry Primal?
I'm surprised to see it below Far Cry Primal on that list.
I know like a grand total of 2 people who bought Far Cry Primal. Like, I didn't think anyone. Okay, all right, I'm mistaken.
Well, I mean, I bought Far Cry Primal, but I bought it because it came in like that big box set with a statue and everything, and it was 50% off on Boxing Day. So I was like, $75 for something that normally costs me $150. Yeah, sold. Because it normally costs like $99.95 over here for a AAA game as it is. So to get the game plus the statue for $75. So yeah, I bought it. And it wasn't a bad game. I mean, nothing to write home about, but it wasn't a bad game. So anyway, that's a whole heap more statistics there. If you're really interested in the statistics that has been brought out by the company that runs E3, which is Entertainment Software Association, known as ESA, head on over to our website and just even type in ESA and that'll come up for you. Have a look at it. There's a massive breakdown of details there. The full report has been linked. There's just some really interesting stuff that like stands out. Even things like, women aged 18 and older represent a significantly greater portion of the game playing population than boys under the age of 18. Or 53% of the most frequent gamers play multiplayer games at least once a week. Like, there's all these really cool little statistics that sort of give you a snapshot of what people are playing. And it takes away the influence of what social media is telling you about what the norm is. And it actually shows you this is what people are doing. So it's definitely well worth having a look into. So as we move more into the E3 News and Chatter segment, the Xbox Fan Fest. Crash much? That was bad. So everybody, I'm pretty sure everybody's familiar with what Xbox Fan Fest is. For one person who may not be, which is Sam's mom, who's in the live chat right now. Hi, Sam's mom. We love you, Pam. Thanks for joining.
Hey, Sam.
Xbox Fan Fest is a special event put on by Microsoft for fans of Xbox who are at E3. very limited tickets. They opened up the registration for the Fan Fest, and it got that inundated that it basically collapsed on itself and just continued to accept registration after registration well after all the tickets were allocated. So what they ended up having to do was, unfortunately, go out to everybody and say, thank you very much for registering. And I know that you must be really excited right now to know that you're attending FanFest. But I'm here to tell you you're actually not. We're canceling all registrations. We're going to email you very soon with an apology and a little gift to say thank you, which I'm assuming is probably going to be a special gamer pick or something cool like that. So yeah, unfortunately, anybody who thought that they were registered for FanFest, and they should be reopening that. I think the indication was around about this week sometime. They didn't give an actual date, but the wording suggests probably within a week. So keep an eye on, Aaron Greenberg's Twitter, Major Nelson's Twitter. There's a few other ones there. That'll be one of the first places that you'll see that the registration is open up again, and you'll be able to go and reapply. But how is that a thing? How is that a thing? I mean, is there somebody at Microsoft just like, well, a few dozen people might apply, so, we don't really need to stress test this too much. I mean, what was the thought process there?
I can see some DBA or some database administrator going, oh, I did not put the logic in there to turn this off if we hit a certain amount. And I can just see it, someone running down the hall going, turn it off! Turn it off!
Shut it all down!
There's this red phone on the guy's desk, and it's got dust on it, and it's ringing, and the guy's like, oh, crap.
Yeah, he's like, pull the plug. Pull the plug on what? Everything. What do you mean everything? The internet, the whole internet. Just pull the plug.
It's like Han Solo trying to fix the hyperdrive.
Beating it with a hammer.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes, that was well done, Microsoft. Thank you for allowing us to have this laugh at your expense.
Really, yeah. Sam and I had a discussion earlier.
Yeah, do you want to delve into that?
Yeah, so I mean, we all know the PlayStation experience. It's not during E3. It's they basically sell tickets to go to the event, and I think maybe going that route and having FanFest at E3 or not at E3, it doesn't really matter. I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to get all gamers in the same location to celebrate Xbox, and now that they've got a general public admission at E3, it kind of makes sense to allow it. But it's like it's easier to go and say, here's a transaction, and then you can, instead of going out and saying everyone register, and then we'll send emails, and if that email system is broke or that registration system is broken, this is what happens. So
yeah, fair enough. I mean, I see what they're trying to do with FanFest. I actually think it's a good thing. I can imagine that the first year that they ran it, they were like, well, let's see how this goes and whether it ends up being popular or whatnot. They release it as, free tickets, registration only, that sort of thing. And then it takes off. Not only did it take off, but it boomed. Like, it was a major, major thing. They're like, well, what do we do? I mean, do we charge this year? Can we charge this year? Because we didn't charge last year. How's it going to look if we charge this? You know what? You're right. We can't charge this year. So now, again, it's a free event. And they're like, well, how are we going to manage this? What kind of space are we going to have available to us at E3? How many people are we legally allowed to fit into this area? So there's a whole heap of stuff at play there. And what they're really trying to do is give the gamers who go to E3 that are massive fans of Xbox a place where they can go see a bit more Xbox staff, maybe get to meet the execs, which they wouldn't get to do ordinarily if they didn't have a press pass, and allow them to, have that moment where they're just like, oh my God, this is amazing, and I love you, Xbox. Mwah! So I see why they're doing it, and I don't see any harm in it. But I do think that an event like that is always going to have more people that are going to, more people that are going to want to be there than they're actually going to be able to cater for. So it's always going to be a bit of a tricky one. I think it's great that they're doing that. I also think that it's amusing when I hear people who are pro Xbox be like, you don't see Sony doing stuff like this for their fans. I'm like,
yeah, they do.
PlayStation Experience, Tokyo Game Show, shall I keep going? But, it's great that all of them are doing this. Even Nintendo's doing more of these Nintendo Directs now to give a little bit more of an insight into what's happening and some more gameplay and release dates. And all companies seem to be becoming much more community focused, which is great for us as gamers. But then it also does put us in a position where we tend to criticize, well, why aren't you doing it this way? Why didn't you do that better? As opposed to just sitting back and going, okay, this is cool, let's enjoy it. So go for it. Have your fan fest. Just make sure your site doesn't crash.
Yeah, and you know what? People make mistakes, and I think there were a lot of knee-jerk reactions that were unnecessary online. And you know what? Things happen. You just have to forgive them and just keep going.
Yep. Well, life moves on. So before we move out of the realm of the E3 space, I'm going to put one of you on the spot right now. So we, in the podcast at the moment, we have somebody who is 100% going to be at E3. We have others that are hoping to be there, but are trying to organize all the different things that have to fall into place to make the jigsaw puzzle come together. So Sam.
Yes.
You have your E3 pass. You have been invited to the Microsoft press conference. You've got the ability to go to the EA Play and EA Play and play the games on the ground. How much hype are you at right now?
Well over 9,000.
Too damn high. It's too damn high.
Exactly. Any outdated cliche statement, seriously, it's incredibly exciting. The idea this time last year that I would ever get to do something like that was just a pipe dream. It really was. It really was. And then, seeing all this work with RGM pay off, it's truly incredible. It nearly brings a tear to my eye, seeing everything we've built and seeing all the work that you and Julius have both put in, Bella. It's it's awesome. And thinking that this is what we're achieving this year, just imagine where we'll be this time next year. And then,
Absolutely.
2019 and 2020, it's just awesome. It's absolutely awesome.
Absolutely. Well, we're really excited for you and the team that's going. So we're going to have a team there on the ground at various different presentations. So all of you can just expect some really cool content coming back from E3 this year from RGM. So make sure you stay tuned for all of that. So let's move forward from E3 news and into something I'm really excited about. So this week, as you can see, we have a smaller panel than usual, and that's because a couple of the key people who needed to be here today unfortunately had unforeseen circumstances take them away from the podcast. So, there was flooding and houses were on fire and there was drop ships. And so, unfortunately, they couldn't be here with us today. But
good Lord.
Instead of just cruising past where we would normally have the debate section, we're going to fill that in with something I like to call trivia time. So the way this is going to work is
Wow.
The way this is going to work is the questions are going to be video game based, evidently, being that we are a video games podcast. Our two participants today will be Julius Malco and Samuel Talbot.
Yay!
Now, your buzzers, gentlemen, will be your name. So let's do a quick little test here. Julius, what's your buzzer?
Digital syrup. Julius. Either one.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure? You might want to decide on one or the other.
All right. I'll use Julius.
Okay. Sam, what is your buzzer?
Sam. Like that? That works?
Well done, gentlemen. All right, you've passed the first test. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask a short series of questions. And as I ask these questions, you are able to jump in at any point. So even if I only get 4 words into the question, you're like, I know what this is, you can buzz in with your name and answer. If you're correct, you get a point. But if you're incorrect, you'll lose a point.
Ooh.
we see how that works, gentlemen? You got that all sorted?
So basically, like, you don't have to put an answer forward and you won't lose a point, because if you don't know something, it might be better to do that rather than risk losing a point. Gotcha.
Correct. So is everybody ready?
We're ready.
Let's do it.
All right. Question 1 in the first RGM Trivia Time segment is, which released first? The Xbox One S or the PlayStation 4 Pro?
Sam.
Julius. Oh.
Sam, buzzed in first. What's your answer?
The Xbox One S. It released in August of
Correct.
2016.
Correct. Question number 2. At the VGAs in 2016, what game won Game of the Year?
Julius.
Jules?
Overwatch.
Correct. Question number 3. What is the combination of button inputs that make up the Konami code?
Julius.
Oh, Jules?
Up, down, left, right. BA start, select. Oh!
Well done. I'm impressed, actually. That was great.
Well done.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Okay. Which publisher recently announced that they're opening 2 new studios?
Julius.
Julius?
Ubisoft.
Okay. All right. Question number 5. Which video game recently announced a DLC named 3C, 1D, 11944?
Sam.
Ooh, Jules?
Nier Automata.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Sam, you need me to give you a second. You can sit up straight, stretch out, crack your knuckles, take a deep breath. All right.
Okay, keep going.
All right. You should know the answer to this one. Question number 6. Out of the 3 people in this podcast, who is the best at Call of Duty Zombies?
Julius.
Sam.
Bella.
Yes, correct.
That was hey, I clearly said that was my buzzer first. Come on. That was definitely me. Oh.
I unfortunately, Sam, I actually didn't hear you. I only heard Julius's one there.
Oh, wow.
All right, what I'll do is I won't award a point for that one, since it seems like there's a bit of discrepancy on that. All right, question number 7. Just as long as we're all clear on the answer, that's all that matters. Question number 7. What game that was released this year will forever be known as the game mem of 2017?
Sam. That would be
Sam?
Mass Effect Andromeda.
Correct. All right. Moving on to the second last question. What are the first 6 digits of pi?
Sam.
Oh my God.
Sam?
3.14157.
3.14159.
Okay. I was wrong.
Close, very close. You know what? I'm not going to deduct a point for you because that was so close, but I'm not going to give you an additional point because of that.
Okay.
All right. And last question. Which video game is infamous for the smart pistol?
Julius.
Sam.
Jules?
Titanfall.
Well done. That wraps up this round of the RGM Trivia Time. We had our contestants Sam and Julius going head and head over a variety of different game-related trivia questions. Sam weighed in with a correct answer for 2 of the questions, and Julius weighed in with correct answers for 5 of the questions. So this week's Trivia Time winner is Julius. Woo!
Good job.
Thank you. I honestly,
flag on my end.
I had anxiety on my end. I was like, Sam is gonna like destroy me. My ninja-like reflexes, though.
You did well, gentlemen. You did well. Out in the heat of the moment. Okay, so that wraps up Trivia Time. Let's move on to our second last segment before we get into what grinds my gears. So, refunds to be available soon for digital games on Xbox. How's everybody feeling about that?
Excellent.
Well, yes. There were actually in Canada, I believe there is a refund policy for certain retailers, like Amazon. You can get your money back. But for if this is straight off the Xbox One store, I assume.
Yes, this is for digital stuff. For digital
this
games.
is good. There is a time limit though, right? Like you can't just finish the game and then get your money back.
Right. It's 2 hours of less than 2 hours of gameplay, or 14 days of actually owning the game. And in addition to that, they have said that they will crack down on people who try to exploit this on indies to get lots of achievements. Like if they notice a pattern, they're onto you. Like if you like once or twice, it's not going to happen. We're talking about people who repeatedly abuse the system, obviously.
Yeah. I know. Pardon me, I take a little bit of an issue with the way that they're going about it with this whole, well, you either need to have not played the game within 2 weeks or have played less than 2 hours collectively across all accounts associated with your profile. So the first issue there is that why on earth is, even if you have not played it within 2 weeks, a stipulation? If you haven't played a game within 2 weeks, why are you even asking for a refund for it? You haven't even played any of it. You don't know why you want a refund.
Yeah.
You're just busy. Work, life, that doesn't entitle you to a refund. The other thing is can you imagine, like, and I've used this before when having this very same conversation with other people, can you imagine what would have happened if that digital refund system was in place with if you played less than 2 hours in that game, you can get a refund? If that was in place when Mass Effect Andromeda dropped?
Yeah, that would have been devastating.
Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, I mean, it's difficult, right? Like I get what you're saying. It's not perfect. You know, the 2 hours, the 14 days. I actually don't take an issue with the 14 days. I think that's a perfectly acceptable window of time. I don't have a problem with that. But the 2 hours is weird because not all games are even remotely the same. Some take a little bit of time to come into their own. Some obviously, are a lot shorter. Some games can be completed in 3 or 4 hours. The majority of them, like, I don't know. It's difficult. I think, first of all, the most important thing is the fact that they're offering it at all is a huge step, because many online retailers still will not allow digital refunds of any kind. Like, try refunding a game, for example, digitally on, say, I don't know, like the Ubisoft store. You play. Okay, It ain't going to happen.
No, I'm saying. No.
That's just one thing. So the fact that there is some sort of consumer protection here at all is a huge step forward in validating digital media ownership in terms of you actually owning it, rather than it just being a license. It's a big step. The problem is it's going to be open to exploitation first, and it's going to be a brutal learning curve. So I think it has issues. I just don't think it's fair to really crack down on them right out of the gate, because they're going to have to learn from feedback and from what people actually do with it in order to refine the system. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, I mean, and I've said this before as well. I think on the Iron Laws podcast when we were discussing it, is my major concern is that how that would potentially affect development in the future. Whereas this becomes a thing that is implemented across the board and becomes the norm, whether that's going to influence the development of a game when the studio sits back and goes, right, we've got the first 2 hours to sell them on this game, as opposed to attacking it the way that we normally go about it with, leading into the story and character development and getting you used to the game's mechanics and stuff. I can see this being an influencing factor on the way the studio would actually address developing a game, to ensure that at the end of that 2 hours, you don't want your money back, which I guess is good for us. But do we really want people's creative direction being changed to cater to a digital refund system?
You got a point there, but at the same time, it can also improve the quality of the game titles, right? Like take Mass Effect for example, right? So you have developers going, okay, maybe we won't launch, or even it might even say, okay, well maybe we won't launch until on Xbox, or you know what I mean.
That's right. That's another thing that could be an issue as well. Or all the good stuff that gets jammed towards the front of the game, and then the rest of the game's filler.
Oh,
I don't know. Like,
That's dangerous.
I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. And the reason being, like, we have to consider percentages overall of how many people actually play and finish games. And, AAA development, which I presume is what we're referring to here, but I mean, just development of games in general, is based on the premise of selling you on a game and that game being good and worth your money. So I have to take the pro-consumer approach of, if someone outright lies about what content has been put into a game, like take the original Destiny and how much story content and cinematics were shown in the trailers that never ended up in the game at all. And then let's say someone doesn't get around to playing it for like a week, but then they hear from their friends, they're like, dude, I know you purchased it, but seriously, just put it back. Just get a refund. It's not what we thought it was at all. Like, there's all this stuff that's wrong with it.
Like
Are
No
you
Man's
telling
Sky.
me that they should just be screwed out of $60? Or No Man's Sky? Good Lord, the scandal there.
Could you imagine? It would be like the FanFest website. Like, everything would just be crashing.
Exactly. So it's like, are we supposed to just tell people, yeah, developers lied to you. Too bad. Sucks for you. Like, I don't know. Like, I get what you're saying. You're making valid points. I'm not disagreeing.
Oh, and so are you.
It's difficult. It's very difficult, and I think, like I said, they're just going to have to see how this goes, and then again, people who abuse the system, crack down on them. Like, if someone just tries, oh, I'm going to buy this game, nope, refund it. Oh, I'm going to buy this one, no, refund it. A refund should be an extreme exception, not the rule. It should be something that ideally you never have to, but if you have to refund a game, it's like, okay, you might refund 1 or 2 in a year, not 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You get where I'm going with this?
Right. But here's another thing. Here's another thought. If that is going to be something that developers are going to be afraid of, could we see more demos for more games?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge pro-consumer thing, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, as a PC gamer, everyone had shareware copies of, Jazz Jackrabbit or Doom, right?
But I mean, we basically already have glorified demos. Like, everywhere now is doing open betas,
Yeah.
It's that the beta has stopped being the beta. It has become the demo, the beta that should be for people who are interested in helping with the game's development and providing feedback and finding bugs to make sure that the end deliverable is the best thing that they can possibly purchase. They no longer do that. They're playing that because demos aren't a thing anymore.
Exactly.
They're not a thing.
That was
now
something
they use the beta to do that. And now people who usually would go and look for a demo to be like, you know what, I wouldn't mind just trying out just a little bit of this game to see if it's up my alley. Now you have the alpha or the beta, which, as opposed to it being a demo, which is a slightly different variation of what you would get given if, versus an alpha, you get like 3 contained maps that they know they've polished. And they're like, oh, here's our beta. And, give us your feedback, and we're just going to stress test our service. No, you're not. This is your demo. Don't call it your bloody beta. It's your demo. Exactly. We all know it.
It's like Tom Clancy's Badlands.
That was something that was hilarious last year. I remember people being shocked when the Gears of War 4 beta came out, in March, and I think like late March, early April, and then Gears of War 4 came out, middle of October. People were absolutely shocked because of how much better it played and how much better the game looked and ran. And it was like, yeah, that's because they did an actual beta. They were actually improving everything, not a beta 1 week before launch or 2 days before launch, just testing out a couple of the servers.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. But you know what, we can back and forth about this digital sales thing pretty much all day. Like, it's one of those things that there's just an endless number of variables in. So at the end of the day, I think that there's a lot of pros. I also see a lot of cons. So I'll be interested to see how they actually go about implementing this in the end. So we're going to move on to our second last thing for the podcast, and this is a part that we always move through very, very quickly, because this is our movies and Netflix and chill segment about things that are happening in evidently the movies and Netflix realm that relate back to video games. So we'll go through this real quick just to have a quick chat about it. The first one is the new Thor teaser trailer. Everybody watched it. Everybody loved it. What's your thoughts?
It's Marvel. I'm gonna watch it.
Take my money now.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Oh, it's just it was one incredible moment after another. Like it's just, that was a phenomenal trailer. Like I don't even know, like, the whole gladiator arena setup that they've got going on at the end there, Thor and Hulk being in a film together, like a Bash Buddies type movie. I can totally, that's going to be awesome. And then Kate Blanchett as Hela, like that was like, wow, okay, that just does something to me. That was awesome. And then
whoa, Sam's mom's in there.
and no, seriously, and then and then Loki's back, and then we know, even though he wasn't in the trailer, that Doctor Strange is going to be involved in some fashion. It's Marvel has proven at this point that at least with their movies, they can't do any wrong.
Oh, no, they're dominating that space. 100% dominating that space.
Yeah.
All right. So bottom line,
wait.
You're both very excited. Awesome. Brilliant. Celebrity Street Fighter V tournament to be aired on TBS. Anyone going to tune in? Anyone interested? No one can?
I am actually interested in watching this live.
Because you want to watch the Shaq get his attack on.
I want to see Shaq Hadouken spam the whole time. Shoryuken. Pretty much, yeah.
All around,
it's gonna be like, oh my god, fireball after fireball, and like crouch kicking like a noob. It should be funny.
It should be a good hoot. Sam, you gonna check it out?
Yeah, I'll probably check it out. I'm not like excited for it, but I'm definitely interested. I'll check it out for sure.
I think there's a lot of people that love Street Fighter V that are just even for the comical aspect of it, are just going to tune in and watch it because I think it will be very entertaining.
Celebrities playing video games is always funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm just surprised.
Really bad at it.
Surprised.
The worse they are, the better it is.
Exactly. I'm surprised they didn't invite like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Well, not all celebrities are bad at playing games. Like if you've seen Alan Tudyk or Nathan Fillion go to work in Halo or Destiny, that they can do some damage.
There you go. All right, Star Wars: The Last Jedi. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Star Wars.
Hold on,
I love
dear
you.
Life, the hype train.
Just you can't go wrong. Like
Disney is just wallowing in their giant vaults of money right now. You do realize that. Owning Marvel, owning Star Wars. They've got Battlefront 2.
The dive off the diving board into this like big vault of money and back.
Yeah, that's what they're all doing. Yep.
I just the people who wondered why they spent $4.5 billion acquiring Star Wars. Do you understand yet?
That's why.
Do you get it now?
That's why.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks really good.
Yeah.
I do think in terms of content, like it was a teaser, obviously. It's exciting to see Mark Hamill back, obviously, and actually get to see him as Luke Skywalker, not just a few seconds. But I think this is going to be a very interesting film for both Rey in her training, and then for Kylo Ren as well. I definitely see a sort of reciprocal situation going on because it's not like, in the original trilogy or whatever, where it was Luke training and then Darth Vader and then the Emperor beyond that, this big bad evil that he didn't stand a chance. It's like Kylo Ren is developing just as much as a character as Rey is, and they're both finding themselves. So I think that's very interesting. I think Adam Driver, at least to me, really proved himself, and I think there's a lot of subtleties maybe people didn't pick up on in his acting. I'm really excited to see where both of them go in this film.
And it's fantastic to see the focus of the new Jedi be a female character for a change, to give a bit of diversity to the cast in the game. Well, the game, because there will be Battlefront 2, she'll be in that too. But the movie as well, it's so nice to see that diversity there.
Totally. I mean, like, I think this is a fair objective statement that Rey totally owned any scene she was in episode 7.
Oh yeah, and she's very headstrong. She reminds me of someone. I'm not sure who, but yeah, she's a great character.
I hope Kylo does like a cameo for like a like a Death Star technician. Just, like in the background, he just walks by in like an orange suit.
Yeah,
That would be
awesome.
pretty funny.
That would be cool. Now, before we quickly delve into what grinds my gears, if there's any questions that the audience have now that they wanted to ask, just pop them in the chat section and we'll get to them at the end of what grinds my gears. Moving forward, though, Julius, you're going to go first this week. What has been grinding your gears?
You know, I have two things, but I think I'll just focus on one. I'll save the other one for the next podcast. Okay. What really grinds my gears is when you have a member of your family who's a gamer eating Cheetos while playing on your your brand new wireless controller.
Oh.
And you go to pick it up, and the thumbsticks are not only greasy, but they're orange.
Oh, yeah.
I'm physically cringing right now.
Right? You know what? You just bought that. That's now yours, and it's coming out of your money for the next 3.7 years.
Exactly.
Oh, jeez. Oh.
That's what grinds
I
my
didn't
gears.
think that was actually a thing. Like, I thought that was just a myth.
No.
Wow. Sam, can you top that?
No, I will be honest. I can't top that. Mine is going to come off seriously first world problem by comparison.
Oh, mine is a first world problem as well.
No, dude, you're it's straining. That's bad. That is a real bad problem. That's horrible. I utmost sympathy, dude. Yeah. So my problem is this. We talked earlier about how the digital market is taking over, and it's only going to continue to grow. Fantastic. All right. Mm-hmm. Digital has its advantages. That's great. Mm-hmm. That's great news. And, you know, one of the great things about digital games being released is maybe it doesn't have to be a full $60 game. Maybe it can be $40 or a $30 game. Gotcha. Okay. That's fantastic. That's great. I'm all on board. If you recognize that your game is a linear 8 to 12 hour game that maybe you'll replay it for the achievements, but really for the story, you're only going to play it once. Okay, fine. Lower the price. Good. I'm with you. Mm-hmm. But if your game is digital only, why on God's good earth would you not allow people to preload it? Especially those of us who are still stuck with really, really bad internet speeds. Like, if the game could be acquired physically, it might at least be remotely forgivable, even though it's still obnoxious. But if people can only get your game by downloading it digitally, wouldn't you want them to be able to play the moment the embargo lifts? Well, evidently not.
Instead of just being able to download it when the embargo lifts.
Because Outlast 2, you cannot pre-download it. It's coming out, for download when the game actually releases, and it's a digital-only game. That doesn't make any sense, and it's kind of obnoxious because it destroys one of digital's biggest benefits, which is the ability to play the moment the game goes live. And so that's incredibly frustrating.
Okay, so apparently that's what's grinding your gears this week.
So, mm-hmm.
Wow. It's a fair gripe. It is a fair gripe. What's been grinding my gears this last couple of weeks, and it's been an ongoing thing. Some weeks, depending on the temperature here in Australia, it is an issue and it isn't an issue. If it's really warm outside, I don't have this problem. When it's cold, what grinds my gears is when I am not looking at my TV cabinet, for example, which has my PlayStation and my Xbox in it, and my cat sneaks up when I'm in the kitchen getting a drink and jumps in behind said PlayStation or said Xbox. And so I come and sit back down and I start playing again, and I'm like in the heat of the battle, or I've just finished an epic dungeon, I'm about to save, and she stretches out and pulls the power cord out of the back.
Oh, no!
Oh!
That has been grinding my gears. It is bad. Like, I've lost some significant process.
That's evil.
Yes, it's a
Oh my
significant
God.
process, and it's like bad. And the thing is, because I have the style TV cabinet that I do, I have it so that both areas that those consoles are in are quite large. So there's a lot of airflow, and there's a hole behind the back of it as well, so that the air can flow in and out of that area to keep it well ventilated. So it's almost impossible. Like, and if I'm sitting there staring at the TV and that, and I can see her approaching, it's only Jersey that does it. Simba Bear, who's sitting here beside me asleep, she's like, I'm being a good girl. Yes, you are. Jersey's the one that does it. And she'll wait until like I get up and I go to the ladies or go to get something to eat from the kitchen, or I might be on the phone and distracted. And before I know it, she's in there and behind there. And the thing is once she's in there, getting her out could potentially cause more damage than just leaving her there, because she'll dig her claws in, she'll kick and flip. And, particularly if it's a PlayStation, because I have the PSVR stuff all connected to my PlayStation 4 Pro. So I'm like, okay, you can say, just stop kicking, just stop it. It's okay. Yeah, that grinds my gears badly.
Yep.
Have you considered like putting some, I don't know, like anti-cat thumbtacks or a net or something to just discourage them from climbing in there? Or
is there such a thing as an anti-cat thumbtack? Or did you just
well, I could probably build one. I'm just saying. Like,
what I'm actually thinking about.
Are you talking about like a cat spike strip?
No, not like just something like that would make them uncomfortable sitting there.
No, I wouldn't want to do that to them. But what I am thinking about doing is getting some chicken wire to cut out to put in front of it. But the thing is, it's like that. Like, I have a really nice TV cabinet, a lot of consoles and stuff. My PC, all of my charging stations, everything's set out symmetrically, and it looks beautiful. And then I'm going to go and add chicken wire to it. I'm like,
no,
maybe I'm going to have to. But maybe I only have to when I'm actually playing. I can just grab the chicken wire, put it up there with a bit of blue tack, like, right, safe. And then when I'm done, maybe put, this is a subject matter for another time. But anyway, that is what has been grinding my gears. So we did have one question, and I'm hesitant to ask this question, Tommy, because we have the world's biggest Witcher fanboy in here. Can you promise me if I ask this question, Sam, you will answer it succinctly?
Yeah, we got 8 minutes, bro.
I can say that.
Okay. So Tommy would like to know if you have any tips for leveling up on The Witcher 3, side objectives versus the main story.
Okay, so obviously
is the word of the day.
It depends on exactly where you're at in the story. Obviously, if you're still in the White Orchard prologue, you need to finish that up. However, if you've hit the main story, I recommend sticking with the main story right up until the point where you stumble upon the Bloody Baron quest and that whole area in Velen and the war-torn areas. Beyond that, I recommend expanding into the different Monster Hunter contracts, not only because it's great for the role-playing aspect and some investigative stuff and cool fights, but also because those usually give you a chunk of coin and experience. So that's probably the best way.
Okay, excellent. I was hoping you were going to stop soon because you weren't breathing.
I can't help it.
He's like, oh my God, it's The Witcher, and I'm going to talk really fast. I'm going to say everything about the storyline, and then there's this, and then there's Gerald, and it's great, and it's amazing. It's The Witcher. I'm like, breathe, Sam, just breathe. Breathe.
Yeah, I almost had a nap on that one.
So that wraps up today's podcast. We covered, oh my goodness, we covered a lot today. That was great. And a lot of fun with the trivia. So we will probably implement that as something that we'll do on the weeks where we don't have a installation of debate night. So it's something we'll try and get the community, the community engaged in as well. So in the meantime, we're going to say goodnight, probably go back and play a little bit more Black Ops Zombies. Thank you to everybody who has joined us today and who has been in the chat section. Yes, Pamela, my cat does like to get behind my consoles because it's warm there. And we will catch you on the very next episode of the Real Game Media Podcast, where we will be announcing the winner of the Nintendo Switch console giveaway. But until then, this has been another Real Game Media Podcast.